Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm joined alongside Adamo Ritaco today to discuss about Manuel Pellegrini and Unai Emery, the two names that have been rumored over these past few days and weeks to possibly take over the coaching job at Milan if the Chinese take over the club's ownership. Now, speaking about these two managers, obviously, one is more experienced than the other, but it has been reported by Corriere della Sera that the Chinese have made their decision and they want Unai Emery, and the Sevilla coach is apparently available and open to a Milan move. Now, there's also reports saying that a 1.5 million euro release clause needs to be exercised before June 30th if Milan wants to get him as the coach. And at the same time, this could be very important if Emery actually arrives in order to convince Baca to remain at Milan, obviously for various reasons, because Baca wants to play in a team that is going to compete in Europe. And once again, for another season, Milan won't be doing that. Now, as I said, Unai Emery is the favorite. However, there's still reports that Manuel Pellegrini might get the job as well. And that is why I started this discussion with Adamo today because I want to know from him who he thinks is the better man for the job and who he thinks that could get a better success altogether at Milan. So, Adamo, give us your take on these two coaches and who you think could possibly get the job, who's the most favorable at the moment, and who do you think could finally get this team on a winning road?
Well, overall, obviously, Pellegrini is seen more as the experienced coach, as you mentioned. He's had more of a successful career, mainly for the fact that he's much older, and it's been a longer career than Emery. But there's no denying what Emery has achieved. Obviously, in the past couple of years, he won the Europa League 3 times straight, I believe, which is a record or something of that sort. And, which is an incredible achievement because you look at Sevilla and they're a great team, but some of the teams you come up against in the Europa League in the later stages are actually very, very good teams. So it's not any joke or anything you can let slip by that he's won the Europa League 3 times straight. But mentoring Pellegrini, obviously at Villarreal, he had a very successful career. Obviously placed in third in his first year, reached Champions League semifinal the second year, and obviously placed second a few years later in the La Liga, breaking that deadlock between Barcelona and Real Madrid. At Real Madrid, he actually broke the club record for the most points with 96. That was later broken by Jose Mourinho. And at Malaga, he made the quarterfinals in the Champions League. Obviously, now being at Manchester City, achieving quite a bit, winning the Premier League title. Obviously, now this year, making the semi-finals in the Champions League. So realistically, he's had a very, very decorated career. I think at Milan, he could really pull something out of these players. But I do think Emery has something that Pellegrini doesn't. He's more of a fresh coach. He has more I wouldn't say youthful ideas because he's not necessarily young, but he definitely has a different approach to the game than Pellegrini. But regardless, both coaches would be fantastic for Milan. I think if we stuck with Brocchi, we'd be in deep, deep trouble, regardless if we spent money or not. I don't think he'd be able to kind of manage all the egos we would have been bringing in because in reality, who's Brocchi to all these players that we would bring in? Let's say we bring in a big name. They would have no real respect for him, I don't think. So I think that bringing in Pellegrini or Unai Emery would be huge for Milan. Which one's better, in my opinion? I'm not really sure. Obviously, as I mentioned, Pellegrini more decorated, but Emery more fresh. So realistically, I think Pellegrini would be the safe bet, but, sometimes it's good to take risks. So really, who knows?
Yeah, and it seems like it's a debate between an experienced coach and one that could possibly gather that experience throughout the years. And being so young, 44 years of age, I believe that Unai Emery is, already having won 3 Europa Leagues, that is just insane. I mean, Pellegrini hasn't managed to do that. He hasn't managed to win any European competition besides just national competitions like the Premier League or the League Cup, for that instance. And, I guess he still has a lot of time to even decorate his trophy case even more. I'm speaking about Emery. But speaking about winning percentages, Pellegrini is actually doing better during his time at Man City. He has won 60% of his games at Man City, while Unai Emery has won just relatively less than that. at around 52.5%. I mean, still pretty close, but you could definitely say that Man City has the better team on paper than Sevilla, but they're both playing in different leagues. So it's all things that you guys got to evaluate when looking at these two coaches. But speaking about their respective seasons this year, Man City ended fourth place in a very tight race there, especially in those last weeks, while Sevilla only managed to get seventh place. So it has been a pretty disappointing season for them all around. But luckily for them, they won the Europa League, and that means they will be entering the group stage in the Champions League next year. So that is pretty much the only benefit that they could get from that. But once again, Adamo, going back to these two coaches that are definitely looked at in Europe and also all around the world, not just Milan, but there's also a lot of other teams interested in these two coaches. And do you believe that Milan could possibly attract one of them? I know I just mentioned that Corriere della Sera said that Emery is open to a move to Milan, but do you truly believe that? Do you truly believe that, knowing Milan's situation these past few years, could still engage these coaches into coming to Milan? Maybe the Chinese ownership could spark something in between for them. But what's your take on that?
Well, as you mentioned, the Chinese ownership, I think that's pretty much the biggest factor in this, mainly for the fact that why would Emery want to leave Sevilla when they're doing so well? And I think the only deficiency that they have compared to Milan is maybe the name of the club. So realistically, I don't think he'd want to leave if things wouldn't have changed hands, or unless Berlusconi were to spend money. But I think what's attractive is that he may be able to, if the Chinese do come, build his own project. He can bring in the players that he wants, start the system that he wants to start, and play the style of play that he would like to play. So I think that if the Chinese do come in, there's a big chance that Milan will be able to attract coaches like this, because it's AC Milan at the end of the day. Obviously have been absolute crap for the past few seasons, but they do still hold that stature of being a big club, quote unquote. And regardless of their finishes in the past few years, they still have that kind of aura about them. Obviously playing in the San Siro, one of the best stadiums in the world. And yeah, as I said, if they bring in obviously the Chinese owners, I think that'll be a big factor in bringing somebody like Emery over. Obviously, Pellegrini will be looking for a job now that he's out of the Man City job with Pep Guardiola coming in, which is another factor they have to consider when you're kind of looking at the season that he's had. He kind of fell a bit at the end of the Premier League, obviously dropping a few places. And I think that's mainly due to the fact that he went all out in the Champions League and couldn't care less about where Man City finished, because realistically, he's not going to be there the next year. And they didn't really have the dignity to kind of hold off this Pep Guardiola announcement to the end of the season. Rather, they did it halfway through, and it kind of, made things uneasy for him as a coach. But regardless, I think both of them will be wanting to come to Milan if the Chinese do come, mainly for the fact that they'll be able to build their own project.
Yeah, some very good points there. And also with the financial help that these Chinese owners could bring to Milan and to these coaches, they will definitely take coaches' requests. In my opinion, we haven't seen too much of that with Berlusconi, where he kind of wanted to control the transfer market, and Galliani as well. But I think these coaches will actually be able to build their own project if they do arrive, like you mentioned, Adamo. And this could be very, very important for Milan's future. So let me know, guys, in the comments section below who you would prefer as Milan's coach. Will it be Manuel Pellegrini, the experienced coach, or will it be Unai Emery, a guy that still has experience? He hasn't only coached at Sevilla, but his recent success has definitely given him a name in the world of football. So let me know down below in the comment section who you guys would prefer for getting the next coaching job at Milan. And that wraps up our discussion. Thank you, Adamo, for joining me. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan on a daily basis. And I'll catch you guys later. This has been Gio and Adamo signing off. And as always, Forza Milan. Napoli are targeting Mattia De Sciglio, and they have already contacted Milan concerning the player.